It looks like we have a brother Swash through Based White to bring forward, ladies and gentlemen. Celebrate this hero. Here he comes, the one and only, the champion, the legend, the Based White. Hello, brother. Can you hear me? All right.
Promethean Hails, Jason, I can hear you.
All right. Promethean hails. Folks, this guy, he's at work. He's always doing the work of the good Lord. He's always doing the work for our people. Big Promethean champion. And we love him for it. And God bless him. And so happy to have you here today for a swash through. Tell us what you would like to talk about on your swash through.
First of all, I'd like to say that this is a lot more than I expected when I asked if you were having a Twitter space last week. But it's an honor to be a part of this community, and I just love it. But yeah, I wanted to speak about Born Guilty. I read that book. It took me a while, but I read the whole book, and I just want to encourage more people. They've got to read this book. It is an actual book. You're going to have to break down and sit down and read a book. It's not an audio book. This was the first book I've read in a long time. I have Go Free on the audio book. I've listened to it. I don't know how many times, but I did buy a physical copy of Go Free. Now I'm going to read it next. But
Nice.
so yeah, the couple things. This is three books in one. Jason spoke about this before several times, and I just want to speak to each of these parts here. My copy was purchased recently, so it does not have the unique device in it, but I understood what it is once I got to it, and that is a very cool concept and an interesting idea. I wish Amazon would have let you keep that in there. But the three books are one of them is you're in Jason's study where he lives, and it's like person to person interaction. He's speaking the Go Free concepts to you and describing them in great detail. And this is different than what's in the Go Free book, but it's the same also. And it's geared for new people, but also I've been in the community. I mean, not a long time, but I don't consider myself new here anymore. But it was still great having this to read and just go over all these concepts. And I posted one of the page 46 on Twitter and on my Facebook. That's still deleted. I still haven't gained access to my Facebook yet, but I posted it several places just because of just that one page alone. Page 46 was just so powerful, and I just wanted to share it. But there's a lot in the reader to or the Jason to reader section of the book that is really encouraging, and it just always made me feel uplifted reading that compared to some of the other doom that you read online nowadays.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Then next, I did want to speak about Prometheus Rising. This is an epic tale. I had to have a dictionary beside me to decipher a lot of large words that Jason uses, and then also in the back there's I guess appendix with everybody's name and a bunch of places, and because this is a whole Tolkien style world that has been created, that in the back of the book there's a reference to everybody's name, all these places where the battles take place, and this kind of stuff at the end. And you're gonna have to consult that a lot. And I was speaking to Cool Papa J Magic last week in the comments about you have to reread this. This is at least for me, it was very dense, very but a very interesting story, and there's allegory and symbolism, and I guess all that in there, and it's just really awesome. You'll just have to read it to see what I'm talking about. But my favorite part of the Born Guilty book was Crucible. This book, Crucible, it's about Jason when he's in 7th and 8th grade, and it will bring you to tears at some point, and then at others your heart will be racing so fast because of the exciting story that's in this book. There's it brings back memories from whenever I was in middle school or elementary school. A lot of stuff that you had forgot, but reading this, it really comes to life on the page, and you remember the anti-whiteism that you faced in school. And just two things I want to bring out about that I remembered from me being in school. in 8th grade, our English teacher spent, I think it was 6 weeks at one point, studying the Holocaust.
Oh,
And at the time, I remember I discussed with my friends, why is our English teacher teaching us history? Why are we not learning this in history class? But
right.
looking back on it now, I realize it's every week you're in English class several times a week, and you're being pounded with how evil the right race is, how all these evil people did these horrible things, and etc. But that that was one of the things. The other thing was in 7th grade, I think it was, or it may have been 6th grade. I don't remember exactly, but whenever U.S. history is taken, we spent probably a whole semester on the Civil War. It felt like just
Yeah.
the indoctrination of how I. It's like I didn't see it then as much as I can look back now and see how much hate they had for white people, and it was being taught to us at school. Uh, but yeah,
Yeah.
that pretty much sums up the book, and
Well,
it's not with reading this book. It's not you read one story then the next. It's intertwined with the you talking directly to Jason, reading both books, and it spliced together nicely. The Prometheus Rising and the Crucible they go together. If you're thinking about it, they one story follows the next, and so on. And it's just an awesome book. I love it.
God bless you, man. Thank you so much for your optimism and your energy uh, relative to the book and the contents. I mean, that's glorious. Thank you so much for sharing that with people, because I think that a lot of people are missing out on an entire other aspect of serving white well-being and understanding the tools at our disposal and the sort of contextual story that is in maybe in a way the cocoon out of which the matrix out of which all of these different pieces that people come in contact with, that maybe they pick up and use, like our great swashbucklers in the community, or maybe they just end up seeing. Well, it's where it all came from, and yeah, it's experimental literature. It's a framed narrative, Born Guilty, and I feel like at some point I might have to reintroduce it to maybe try to get people's attention again into reading. It's got over 200 illustrations in it, and they serve different purposes. So it's not just we put a page with a picture. So it actually provides you with information that is the same way that you are provided visual information in a dream state. So, and that was the intent. You're coming out of the woods, literally in the beginning of the book, and you're joining me for a weekend as Base White is sharing with you there, brother. You said what did you say? What page on Born Guilty was that you liked so much? Was it 40 something?
46.
46. And what was it in that page, or do you remember at the top of your head? Or
That was it was contrasting how white people do not see themselves as a people and how Jewish people see themselves as a people, and it was just back to back comparisons of the Jewish people see
Mm,
themselves as a people this way, and we want that for white people. Just the it's pretty much the whole page 46, and then there is like a little bit of the continuation on a paragraph on page 47 that I couldn't fit due to the text limits on the posting, but yeah, that was probably my favorite page in the whole book.
well, that's awesome, man. That's absolutely awesome. I'm so happy that it has inspired you, and that you wanted to come on and share your testimony with us, and that it's going to be something that you'll be able to continue to share with people in a very swashbuckling way in the future moving forward. Yeah, folks, if you could hear the enthusiasm, it's a hefty book, but it is you'll be able to get through it. Like I said, there's a lot of illustrations in there as well, and there are intertwined stories to take you through. You even dream in it. So you look out for that. Watch out for that. So you dream inside of this story where you're hanging out with me, and I'm speaking to you just like I am now, and just like now, for most of you who don't interact with me, I don't know what your name could be. I don't know. And so I talk about that in there, and I still talk to you directly. So experimental literal frame narrative, and let's make sure we get lots of raucous emojis for the great Base White and all his service to white well-being, and let's send some positive energy to getting his Facebook page. He got his personal one back, but let's hope that after this election he gets the other Facebook page back, which he was having enormous success reaching people with white well-being with, and it's a great service, and we really appreciate it. And also love and prayers to him and his family, that they'll all be healthy, happy, and prosperous for the rest of their godly lives, brother. Anything else you want to share before we let you go?
Yeah, one more thing. I would like to request a sequel to Crucible that explores your high school and afterwards point.
Well, yes, maybe I will do that, especially the coming into the white sympathetic sphere, and because that was probably not what a lot of people think, and the emotions are probably ones that they would share themselves or have shared. And so that's the this sort of the same visceral aspect of Crucible, that, and you were mentioning it, that it's all of Crucible is all of our stories. As so many people, they begin reading it, and just like you experienced, brother, they're like, oh my gosh, I remember this and I remember that, and it takes you back to those earlier years, 11, 12, 13, or years on either side of that, and you went through the same things, but you've suppressed many of them, you've forgotten many of them, but you realize after going through the book Crucible that this is the literal crucible that white children are put through, and that set us on a narrative arc in our lives that is detrimental to us. It's detrimental to our family members, and therefore moving outward in concentric rings, our society and our civilization. But yeah, I'll think probably that would be something I would like to write, especially like high school going into the white sympathetic sphere. It's a great suggestion.
Yeah, I would love that. But if we have time, I'd like to speak about something else.
Yeah, please do.
Right when I finished Born Guilty, my mom had bought the Hillbilly Elegy, and she was reading it, and I told her about that. I was reading Born Guilty. When she finished it, she gave it to me, and I'd finished Born Guilty. She was like, "Oh yeah, you should read this. It's an awesome story about like kind of rags to riches things." And reading that, I went from reading such a positive, uplifting book that had my heart racing with excitement to a book that makes me furious when I read the anti-white statements in it. I try and read right before I go to bed, but neither of these books are really that good, because in Born Guilty, I get so excited I can't sleep. And then reading this Hillbilly Elegy, I get so angry that I can't sleep. But they're essentially, I'm not even all the way done with it. I've got a couple chapters left in Hillbilly Elegy. But what we see this book that the author wrote it through the anti-white narrative, so we can see it from that. He writes it. I wouldn't even realize. I wouldn't even think he realizes how anti-white he is. But constantly through the book, he knows that the social morality is that white people are evil. So constantly through the book, he's comparing hillbillies, trying to equate them to non-white people, specifically poor blacks, because he describes, oh, the poor whites of Appalachia or Appalachia, they have it this way, and so do blacks. And the poor whites of Appalachia have it this way, and so do blacks. And this is several points in several different chapters. This is described, and it he's trying to, I guess, sectarianize and trying to be, oh, I'm a white guy, but I'm not part of the bad white guy, and but not the way the Democrats usually do it, where they by like self-effacing or whatever that's called, the self-flagellation.
Yeah.
He's doing it where a woe is me kind of approach to I'm not part of the bad white people, and it really makes me furious reading that. And then there's other points where he talks about other things that don't align with the archetype of Western kind, I guess you could say, homosexuality and other stuff that the modern Republican stance is it's a-okay with them.
Right. That's awesome to compare and contrast Born Guilty and Hillbilly Elegy. I didn't even think, I'd never even considered. That is fantastic. It just happened for you that you read the one and then given the other. Yeah, and you got in Hillbilly Elegy an author who is smack dab in the middle of the anti-white narrative, writing from that story where white people are evil, but he's trying to like carve out a little niche inside the anti-white world where include us too, because like you're saying there, I can see exactly that would be the direction he would go, because we're not like white people, we're just like non-white people, we're just like the homosexual movement, we're just like the trans movement, we're just put upon and poor and please cut us off. It's the exact same energy that you get from the people of Italian descent who will say that they're not white, they're Italian, or people of
Right.
Irish descent who will say they're not white, they're Irish. It's the same sort of, please cut me out a little corner of anti-whiteism to not victimize me too, but they're not going to not be victimized. I mean, that's, if you're in that narrative, you're going to be victimized. What a difference. So you got Hillbilly Elegy and making you furious and you can't sleep, and Born Guilty making you excited and you can't sleep. One positive,
Yeah.
one negative. Well, if you had to choose a book for all white people to read to liberate Western kind, which would it be?
I would say Born Guilty, but really I would say the third option, Go Free, because it's a lot shorter. It's like 4 hour read, and that's the attention span of most people. That when you tell them you have I think Born Guilty is like 700 pages. When you tell them you have a 700 page book they need to read, that you're gonna be hard pressed to get them to do that, I think.
Well, I'm afraid that's a lot of truth to that, even the readers. But man, I appreciate. God bless you and your family and so thank you so much. And you can come and swash through anytime you want, man. Just let me know whatever you want to talk about.
All right, I typically don't have much to say because you say it all perfectly, and but I did just want to come on and express my gratitude for all you do, and for the Go Free method and your book, Born Guilty. Thank you.
Well, thank you, brother. I express all my gratitude for all that you do and all of your service to white well-being. You are a glorious swashbuckling champion. And folks, let's show him some love on his way out. It's the one and only Booster White. And in a couple seconds, we'll be right back. Bye-bye, brother.
See you.